When I spoke to Sean, he told me that the number one thing that this is kind of about, and what I took from it the most, was people come up and they tell a story and they tell their story, and if it resonates with people, I think that that's really all you can really aim to do. I try to keep it very simple because the words "Each1 Teach1" are actually etched in my brain from 8 years of age when I entered the community YMCA to play basketball, and for a period of time, when I got into education, I thought that being an athlete or a former athlete could be a bit of a hindrance. However, everything that I actually know about how to be a leader in a building comes from the fact that I come from a family that had a sports background and had an opportunity to play sports at a very high level. So, what happens when you contribute to another person's life? I try to keep everything very simple for me personally. I don't think that we can make a lot of things in life complicated. I'm sure you might think running a high school is complicated. It is. Running a high school under work to rule is complicated. It is. Running a high school after being legislated back to work by the government. It is. And so, if I choose to make it that way. What I do believe is that a high school is filled with lots of people in which you build relationships and try to steer a ship in the right direction to affect young lives in a very positive way. So who am I? I am Wade Smith, and we all have a story, and I'm very fortunate to come from a family. A friend of mine once said to me that you really don't choose your family, that your parents and your siblings are luck, and that I actually believe that. I'm the youngest of 5, and I have been very fortunate to have a number of role models in my life inside of my home prior to me ever having to leave. So obviously it starts first and foremost with my dad, who ironically I believe that God doesn't make mistakes, as they say. He was a postman. And everybody knows the old saying about postmen, right? I mean, they deliver, and no matter what the weather is, they get up and they make sure that you get your mail. And throughout my entire life, I can remember being young and, hearing my dad every morning get up early before I got to school, and he would be shoveling himself out of the snow, or it would be rainy, or it would be cold, and every morning he got up and found a way to get to work. And, he led by example. He wasn't a big talker. He was a postman, he was an umpire, and he was a bartender. And he made sure that we as a family had what we needed, not always what we wanted, but what we needed. And his example of showing me that you get up and you go to work every day and you make a difference in somebody's life is a very simple example that you actually begin to model as you get older. 3 older brothers and an older sister. My brother Mark, as Sean said, spoke here last year, world-class softball pitcher, and a huge influence in my life in terms of expecting great things from myself as an athlete. My brother Craig is a Canadian-bound author who's authored a number of books, including one coming out very soon called Her Story, the history of African-Canadian RCMP officers, female RCMP officers in Canada. My brother Thane is a career athlete and also a person who works for Canada Post for 30 years. My sister's been at Canada Post for 20 plus years, and it goes on and on and on. In the middle of all that, I have my mom, of course, who did all the things that a mom could do to ensure that we were out of trouble, that, we got beatings when we needed it, because that was love back then, and not abuse. And I think we all turned out just fine. Like many people, I am many things. And I think when I try to talk about the story that I tell is that we are all these things. Everybody in this room are these things. I'm a son, a brother, a father, a teacher, a learner, a coach, a mentor, a dreamer, a believer, all of those things. I'm a solutions finder. If you come to my office at Citdel, when you walk in and you want to see me, it says right on my door, solutions only, please. I don't have time for people's problems. I got my own. You know what I'm saying? Volunteer. I'm empathetic. I'm sympathetic. I'm a lover of life and like to live beyond 82 if it's possible, and I don't want any regrets, that's for sure. Right? So everything I need to know. This is the first team I've ever played for. At 9 years of age, Community Y, tremendous role models and men that put a number of things in my head that helped me to be successful. What I learned after Y was very simple. To be accountable. To be a good teammate. Don't embarrass yourself, your family, or your community. Failure is not an option in anything that you do. You belong. Very much my second home from 9 to 17. You are worthy. You can do anything. And that the Each1 Teach1 philosophy becomes entrenched in the way that we do things. So, giving back was never a choice in my life. Giving back was an obligation to my community, to young kids coming up after me. And it's simply the way that it was ingrained in me as a young man that that's what I'm supposed to do. Lots and lots of people told me by example, but it wasn't something that I had to ever think about. It was just how I did business. So I've had the opportunity to give back to my community Y and coach at the provincial level, coach at the community Y level, be a mentor to kids in my community, take them on trips, and do all the things that I believe that I'm supposed to do. And so when I give advice to people, or specifically young kids, because I'm in an environment where I'm dealing with students between the ages of 15 and as old as 18 sometimes every day, is I tell kids that you got to find a vehicle. Basketball for me became my vehicle. When I fell in love with the game at a young age, that's all I wanted to do. My mom and dad always knew where I was. I was safe. I was with fantastic role models who always said, school and character first, basketball second, everything else takes care of itself. I had an opportunity to play for the junior national team for 3 years. I've been fortunate enough to win a Canada Games gold medal, the only time Nova Scotia has done so, in 1987, actually with my head coach who happens to be in the room today, Mr. Bev Greenlaw. Thank you. And as things come full circle, I am head coach of the U17 Canada Games team for this summer, and we're going to win a second gold medal. So that's the goal. And if you speak those things, you know that they come into existence, right? What basketball has done for me is it allowed me to do a lot of things that I wouldn't otherwise do. See the province, see the country, and see the world at a very young age. And so I try to tell people that, or get young people to think about, don't spend so much time on the destination, but enjoy the journey and try to live in the moments that are present. For me as an athlete, it's game by game, it's practice by practice, it's putting time in to be successful, and it's setting goals and reaching goals and resetting goals and reaching goals. And all of those things, as far as I'm concerned, allow whatever else happens to take care of itself. I didn't know those things were going to happen to me. I just knew that if I did what my coaches told me to do and I worked really hard, and I was fortunate enough to have an older brother that was paving the way for softball in a manner that, looking back, nobody's ever done in this province. Certainly no African Nova Scotians ever done, no African Canadians ever done. He's done things that I marvel at. So you have those role models that allow you to think big because you see people doing big. And so it became easy to be able to work hard and follow the time, follow the people in front of you. My cousin, who recently passed away, Wayne Smith, was a CFL football player for 13 seasons and never played high school football. So I had people around me setting examples that helped me be successful. So basketball became my vehicle. And I just rode the vehicle. So that became part of the things that I like to do. I became a coach. I got into teaching, and these are different experiences. I've taught GED, I've taught high school, I've taught some university stuff, I've tutored. I mentor, multiple kids that come out of my community and lots of kids that are in my school every day in different ways. I love to learn. I believe in support. And I try to attach myself to positive things and positive people. And my heart's in it. I'm not about to tell anybody that being a principal in the middle of the city of Halifax is an easy job. Nope, it's not. It's not an easy job. But my heart's in it. And it's in my community. And the kids I see, believe it or not, I've taught the kids I'm working with the kids in my building. I've taught some of their parents. And so the connections that I help me make my school run smoothly, help me thwart any drama. And if I always say I'm going to call someone's mom, they actually know it because I know them personally. So that helps, right? And give time. What do people want from you in life? They want your time. I know that because of my 2 sons. I know that because of my wife. I know that because of my family, my mom, that people appreciate your time. And so I tell students, ride the vehicle. Like whatever it is that you're good at, don't be ashamed of what the skills that it's taught you. When I first got into teaching, the number one question that I ended up hating more than anything was, by this point in time in my career, I've been at about 10 different schools throughout my career. And so I'm gonna retire from Citdel, that's my plan. But in every school I went to, as an educator, as a teacher, everybody came out to me and said, "Oh, so do you teach gym? You teach gym, don't you? Do you teach gym?" And for whatever reason, that to me as a former athlete, you might not find that insulting, but I'm not good at people making assumptions about me. So when they said that, I would say, "No, I'm English social studies." oh, well, good for you, right? And the good for you, I just hated that. So I never really cared, and I didn't want to be known as that sort of jockey, dumb jockey kind of guy, because I really prided myself on being a solid educator and working hard and learning and being good for the students and being there for them. But as I got into my career and I got older, I took all of the information and all the experiences from sport, and I began to see what's a school made up of. It's pockets full of teams, it's departments, it's department heads, and all you're doing is kind of coaching and supporting and doing the things, for me personally, that come kind of naturally. Kids come in your office now, not a yeller and a screamer. I wasn't one as a VP, I'm really not one as a principal, but lots of foot landed in lots of behinds, right? When I closed the door in different ways about love and about support for young people who want to be successful. And there's been lots of battles. And I've won some, I've won most, right? But you lose some if kids don't finish school, and you lose some because you feel that maybe high school wasn't even the venue for them. But I take all those things and I use them every day because my experiences in sport and working with teams and working with very, very positive role models helps me believe that what I can actually achieve in my building can actually occur. You have to continue to be inspired. I had an opportunity to meet Dr. Raymond Winbush when he was in the city a number of years ago, and he turned me on to his book, The Warrior Method, that I actually use. I do, on my spare time, I spend time in the correctional institutions into New Brunswick, so Renouse and Westmoreland and Dorchester and Spring Hill. I go in and work with African Nova Scotian inmates and put together what's called an Afrocentric dialogue series, in which we went in and actually worked with men and journals and got them to read and talk and share and do the things that we think are important for rehabilitation, thinking about getting back to your community and trying to deal with some of the things that obviously can be difficult when you're incarcerated for long periods of time. And I think, to me, that's a small price to pay for people that like me, that have my freedom, to work with young people that don't. And in some cases, when I say sometimes in school I win some and I lose some, I have gone into institutions where former students have met me at the door, with a big hug, and you go from that space on. There's no judgment. They may have made a mistake in their lives that they are paying for by being incarcerated, but there's no judgment, and we work from there. And I'm always happy when I see that the road and we have great dialogue, so the cycle continues in terms of positive energy. So what happens when you contribute to others? I think it's very simple. I know everybody in the room, what I'm about to show you, everybody in this room, unless you've lived under a rock, will know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. I don't know if there is an easier way to explain what happens when you work hard for other people, because it's not my paycheck, and it's not summer vacation, and it's not any things that you think that are stereotypical about teachers and administrators, because none of that would be true, because people work very, very hard for a living, and the pay that they get does not compare to what we actually do in a building every day. So for those of you that go forth today, and when people are bashing educators, tell them you don't know what you're talking about, because I vouch for my school. What I do know is I try to tell young people that you can make yourself extraordinary by doing the ordinary. Because if you're extraordinary to someone, that's enough. Famous people were once ordinary, they just believed in something. So figure it out. For young people, I say figure out what you believe in, and then when you are done, you can do something. So I wrote something very small to finish off at the end, because I know I'm wrapping up. And I'd like to leave you with this poem. Now, after listening to Ohm talk, I don't really know if I should read this poem, because he was heavy. Each morning I wake and rise from my bed. I walk to the mirror and I scratch my head. I squint my eyes, and what do I see? A tired black man staring back at me. A black man, a principal, a father, a friend, a husband, an uncle, a teammate. And then, I'm one of those things, and I am all of them. A convict, a criminal, a thief, and a crook. I am also those things in other people's books. But what I really am, you can't actually see, because who I truly am is deep inside of me. I'm a reader, a writer, a coach, and a poet. I'm a doer and a giver to many. They know it. I'm a mentor, a pusher, and I can be glue, and I'll give what I can to get the most out of you. A mentor to me is the most valuable thing, for they can make you believe the most unbelievable things. They can take you places you never thought you'd go and make you believe that you run your own show. For when you give, you get 110-fold, and it's something you carry until you are old. When caring and coaching is birthed in your blood, your goodness and caring comes out like a flood. But the one thing I know from my wife and 2 sons is that all anybody wants is your time and your love. And when you give freely without care or strife, you'll see how much mentoring can change a life. Thank you very much.